87% of realtors that get into the business get out of the business after 2 years. That does not exist in our world.
We have massive visions around growing our businesses, and we are always looking to add talent to our world. We do everything in our power to ensure the people we surround ourselves with defy the odds, get into production, and build massive lives for themselves.
We have interviewed some of the top realtors in the world. If you're a new realtor, a top producer, or CEO of a mega team, SalesBeast Podcast is your blueprint for success.
With locations all across Canada, reach out to us to talk about partnership and opportunities. We are looking forward to it.
Yes, I'm the boss.
Welcome back to SalesBeast. Today we've got a host episode, so Mike and I are joining you to talk about what's going on in our lives. So welcome, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Awesome.
We just did something pretty cool together. We've never done it before. We sold a house together.
We sold a house. We have done it before. We sold Emerald together as well.
You're right. Well, we just sold another house. This one was really cool. Anna was the ringleader on this. We had an offer at what? $765,000. You signed it back at $850, not in competition, and got the deal done at $830. Did anyone listening to this know you could sign an offer back, not in competition, over ask? Wow.
It happened. We had the motivation. We had two very eager clients on both ends. And I'm just grateful that I got to work with you. Grateful that we got to work with our favorite client again and make this happen for her.
Yeah. Closed mouths don't get fed, baby. If you don't ask, you don't get. Well played.
Toast to Deb 3.0.
Yes,
She's going to kill it.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit on what we're going to discuss today. So I shared with you the story. I was at a mastermind thing maybe a month ago. And one of the guys that mentored me that I really looked up to when I got in the business and still do look up to today was there. And he asked the room who has a mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives that they review daily. And all the hands went up around me and my hand did not. And this guy he's a pretty direct person. He called me out, embarrassed me a little bit in front of the group. And then I committed to him that I was going to do this mission, vision, values, beliefs, perspectives. I'm a realtor. I didn't do it. And fortunately for me, he followed up. And I still didn't do it. And then he followed up again and I still didn't do it. And I think on the third time, I finally did it. So I have it. I know you're an expert when it comes to this stuff, and I'm struggling. So I've gotten through my mission, vision, beliefs. I got no values and I have no perspectives, which is a big problem. So I was hoping you could help me with this today, Anna.
Yeah, I think this will be fun. I'm going to put a disclaimer. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I think one thing that Sandy and some of the people in our world always instilled in us was, no matter what opportunity you're creating, whether it's a new business, a new venture, a new podcast, start with the mission, vision, values. At least the mission and vision, because you'll have way better clarity about who you want to attract, who you want to be in business with, what you need. And it's super important. So I think today I can kind of give you some examples of different ones. I'll kind of talk to you through what a mission, vision, values, beliefs, perspectives, a whole shebang is. And then after this episode, we can put in our notes the different guides that we have to help you actually build it for your life. So before we do that, why is it important to have this? Why do you think this is important to have?
I mean, one thing I was sharing with you about this prior was that I've always had a morning routine. I've always reviewed my goals religiously. I have broken out my 1 year goals, my 3 years, my 5 years. I normally don't look anywhere past 5 years. Mm-hmm. But I've noticed since I implemented this in my life, actually took the time to build it out. Now that I review it every single morning, it gives me so much clarity as I enter my day, and it really gets me fired up and excited to come to the office. I'm always fired up and excited to come to the office, but now I'm super fired up and excited to come to the office. And it guides me. It shows me exactly what I need to be doing every single day. And I don't know if there's value in this, but if at some point in our conversation you want me to share it with you, I can do that. Like I said, though, I need help. By no means is it perfect.
Yeah, maybe through this conversation, you might change your mind, or you might actually be really aligned with what you put together and you might be on the right page. So, well, let's start with a mission statement. So when you're When you're thinking about a mission, what do you think about?
Why I'm here?
Why you're here?
Why do I exist?
Yeah, I think a lot of people use the vision and mission statements maybe interchangeably, but I find that they have different purposes. So the vision statement, for clarity, is where the organization wants to be in the future, who you want to be in the future, what you want to be in the future. And then the mission statement is what you need to achieve now or do now to actually make that vision come true. So they kind of have to support each other, but the mission statement is a little bit more specific. It will also define how you, or if you're building this for a business, the organization is going to be different from other organizations in its industry. So I have a couple examples of some mission statements from a few well-known businesses. Patagonia.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, my fiance loves rocking the Patagonia vest like a finance bro. Patagonia is big in our household, but their mission statement is to build the best product, cause no unnecessary harm, use business to inspire, and implement solutions to the environmental crisis. Pretty specific, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another one would be Tesla, to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. Another one, life is good, to spread the power of optimism. Like their logos are all smiley faces. I think they do a pretty good job of that. So what do you hear? Like, what is a common theme in all three of those?
I mean, it almost feels like a guiding force. Like it's the reason they exist.
Yeah, it basically indicates like who they are, how they're going to be different, and also why they exist. So when you're thinking about it for yourself, like, why do you exist? That should be your mission statement.
What's yours?
I don't
Not
have.
to put you on the spot.
You put me on the spot because I don't have one either. So we're building one out for ourselves today. We're building one out.
Chris, Anna doesn't have a mission statement. I'm going to tell him he's going to hound you.
Now he's going to be calling me, telling me.
Exactly, and you'll get it done. He's
Honestly,
relentless, that guy.
Mike, let's set a goal by our next meeting. So we have our Thursday meetings, by our next meeting, to both of us have our mission, vision, values.
Okay. Mine, I don't know if this is it now that you're educating me on this, but what I had is mine was to grow into the best version of myself and to help others around me do the same. And then the vision was to be world-class in the areas of 1, my family, 2, health, 3, education and mindset, 4, my business, 5, my investments.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track. I mean, I've done this from a business perspective. I can share with you our business mission vision. But when you're thinking about a vision now, let me give you some examples of other companies' vision statements, not their mission statements, but their vision. So Disney is to make people happy. IKEA is to create a better everyday life for many people. And Microsoft is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more.
Okay. So very much it's what I got out of that's the impact they'll have on others.
Yeah, and if you kind of heard from it, there's no specific targets, right? Each of them could apply to many different kinds of organizations. This is more of like a broad description of the value that you or your business can provide to better the world. It's more of like a visual image of what you're trying to become or what you're trying to produce. And it should inspire people and motivate them to want to be a part of what you're building or to be around you. They should be more clear and concise, usually not longer than a short paragraph. So I would almost say your mission and vision should almost switch based on what I heard.
Okay. Cool. And what about values? My values are blank. I don't have any.
Yeah, when I think about values, I think about like your code of ethics. Like how do you operate? Like your vision and mission are more like where you're going and what you need to do to get there, but the values are what direct you, like the rules for your life almost. So there's values and beliefs, and I think they're fairly similar, or you could have one or the other. You don't need to necessarily have both. And when you're thinking about it for yourself, it's more like your moral compass, your moral direction that helps your decision making and establishes the baseline for how you act and who you become. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, for example, I have one on hand for ours. Our values are faith, family, then business.
Okay.
So that's what we believe in that order: faith, family, then business.
Yeah.
And then the beliefs is more the rules that you follow. Your beliefs are your rules, how you operate.
Okay.
And then lastly, am I cutting out?
You did for a second there, yeah.
Okay. And lastly, the perspective is just who you are at any given moment. Who are you today? Who and where are you? So here's some really great questions to ask yourself when you're building out your mission, vision, values. So for your mission statement, what is your overarching intent as an organization or as an individual? What makes you different from everyone else? And what is the essence of what you're trying to achieve? And then for your vision statement, it's more how the world will look if you achieve your mission. So again, thinking more aspirationally, what role in the world do you want to play? What is your idealized future that you want to create? How will people live differently if you're successful? And then back to the values. Your core values are what guides your decisions, your actions at every level. And a good set of values just helps you promote autonomy while also building a sense of relatedness. If you're especially like in a community, if you're surrounding yourself with a lot of people, you have a team, you have business, the values are how you also attract those people to you. So now that you've heard that, Mike, what are you feeling?
I like where I'm at. I do need to work on the values. My beliefs, I mean, when I look at my beliefs, they all tie into what I guess you're saying is it's right now written as my vision. You're saying it should be my mission. So my beliefs, one, is personal responsibility. Everything good or bad that happens in my life is 100% my fault. I see this a lot with realtors. The leads aren't good, the market's not good, that this isn't good, that isn't good. Hey, dude, throw me in a fucking random city where I know nobody and give me a telephone and I'll figure it out. I think that's needs to be the attitude we all have. And I don't say that as someone that's never figured it out. I literally was plunked down in a city called Hamilton. You know, there was a time when I first moved to Ontario, I thought Hamilton was Mississauga. That's how little I knew about Hamilton. I'm like, oh, this Mississauga place is really cool. My dad tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, hey, idiot, look at the sign. It's this Hamilton, not Mississauga. Anyways, I was plunked down to the city where I knew nobody, and like 18 months later, I sold 50 houses. That was my fault. I take credit for that. I didn't sell any houses my first 6 months. That was my fault. I take credit for that. Commitment is another one. I think a lot of people lack commitment. They expect to yield the results in what they're doing very quickly. Okay, look at someone like you. You've been at this for a good 5-6 years to get where you are today. I'm sure there's a lineup of people that have been in and around you over those 5-6 years that have already quit. There's value in just being the last man standing. I have this photo. So on the inside of my dresser, I open it every day to put clothes on. And there's goals. I have things I've accomplished there. I have this photo of me and Sandy. It's before your time. And all the people that were on the team. And none of them are there. It's literally just me and Sandy. I'm like, that's why I'm here. I'm the only one that stuck around.
It's literally Survivor.
Yeah, like you don't even need to be special. Like, you can literally just keep going and you're going to reach an amazing destination.
On that, can I just deviate for 1 second? Because I wanted to bring up, it's really funny that you mentioned those things, because I'm going to put in the chat for you, but I was just looking at this today, and I'll share my screen for those that are watching on YouTube, but this came up. I don't know how I found this. It was in my Google Drive, and I was like, holy crap. If everybody could just look at this and understand the different mindsets from victim and accountable, avoid reality versus seek reality, fight reality versus acknowledges reality, blames versus owning it, making personal excuses versus finding solutions, waiting and hoping, or getting on with it and doing. I think that aligns with what you're talking about. It's like the commitment, getting shit done, achieving to achieve for yourself, not for anybody else.
I love that.
What about discipline? I feel like that's a big thing in your life.
Yeah, it's the most important thing, I think, in the world for me. I've just seen over the years that the different disciplined person can get so much further ahead in life than the non-disciplined person. And one thing I think, well, we've had our fair share of party moments before. We've had our fun. That can lead to problems. You always see it on TV. You see the celebrity that was out partying. Maybe they got a DUI. They made the wrong choice and they drove home, and that impacted their career or their family. Maybe they were out at an event and said something inappropriate. Didn't even hit the news, but maybe they really offended someone.
We've seen that even like amongst the people that we know, right? Like we've seen examples of that. And yeah, as crappy as it is.
So one thing I wonder, I'm not a monk, and I have, by no means have I quit drinking. But sometimes I wonder how in any way, shape, or form does that align with where I want to go and who I want to be. So maybe that's the next thing that needs to go. And I find when, like, I've made some pretty big changes in my life this past year, that someone called discipline. Like every day I wake up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I've been working out super hard. I don't know if I told you that. Just trying to get in shape. I feel like that's really spilled over into other areas of my life. I'm at a point where there have been times that you've known me and others have known me where I was very much a money chaser. I'll be happy when I make 200 grand. I'll be happy when I sell X number of houses. I'll be happy when our team does this. I'm getting my fun and happy brain chemicals now from just the activity. I'll be happy when I complete my activities for the day. I'll be happy when I show up to the gym. I'll be happy when I know I've put in a hard day's work, regardless of what the outcome is. So one thing I've been thinking about this a lot, the successful person, the failure, the average person, they all have goals. So it can't be the goal that makes me succeed or not succeed. It's likely my ability to stick to the plan I put in place in order to hit that goal. So that's speaking to 50 people a day in the database. It's not the goal of doing 50 ends a year that creates 50 ends a year. It's showing up and doing the 50 calls every single day. I've just been very much focused on that. Just robot monk mode. I know no one else or very few people around me are doing it. And it sets me apart.
So we're reading this book right now called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it. I haven't read it.
It's a great book. It's a really good book. And one of the chapters that we were on recently was all about, well, like basically it's kind of like the one thing. You've read the one thing, right? Very, very similar kind of mindset around it. And I think they probably pulled inspiration from each other. But the specific chapter was all about saying no. And the thing that stuck in my mind is like the most successful people in the world don't become successful by saying yes. They become successful by learning how to say no. And that's a huge part of discipline, right? You have to say no to say yes to something else. Or if you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Very similar. Like you're choosing to say no to sleeping in to be able to provide a better health for yourself, for your family, for everybody around you.
You have to do that, or you're literally a liability to society. Like I've had family members like that. Like it's like, dude, like, sure, you're not healthy. That's fine. That's a choice you make. But as you get older, eventually we're going to have kids. And if I'm not healthy today, all of heart disease, heart attacks, strokes, all these other things, who's going to have to deal with that problem? That is me. Like
Yeah.
like a useless sack of meat that like needs to be cared for. That would be me, and my kids are going to have to deal with that mess, and I don't want to put them through that.
Well, it's so funny because literally was talking about this yesterday. You love Ed Milet. I love Ed Milet. He's such a cool guy. And one of the things that stuck from seeing him in person back in February, he said one of the most insidious forms of child neglect is a parent who doesn't chase their true dreams and true potential. So yes, it's on you, but it's also on your kids.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Awesome. Any other comments? Do you feel a little bit more clear about how to get your mission vision on paper?
For sure. Yeah, no, that's really helpful.
Okay, and for those listening, hopefully that was a good exercise to go through, thinking about yourself, thinking about your own personal life. An awesome course, if you want to look into it, it's called Quantum Leap. It's available for kids and young adults. They also have the adult version, and it's all about how to create the mission and vision for your life. Have you ever taken Quantum Leap before?
No. You?
Yeah, I've taken it. I took it when I was first, I want to say 21. And then I took it again during COVID. Much different mindset, much different. But it's really cool. I know a lot of our agents' children that have attended it. It's like changed their lives.
Yeah.
Gives them a purpose. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Amazing, guys. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Anna. It was great.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day